It's no fault of Elvis. He loved the song.
He pushed an elderly woman down a staircase, and the world couldn't look away. But that was someone else's story. This is the story of a woman who smiled through betrayal, who stood her ground against the king of rock and roll, and who somehow turned every wound into a lesson about grace. This is Dolly Parton, America's sweetheart, the queen of country music, and a woman who learned very early that being loved by millions doesn't protect you from being hurt by a few. On stage, in front of the cameras, at award shows and charity events, everyone adored her. They praised her voice, her generosity, her warmth. But behind the sparkle and the blonde hair, and that irresistible charm, there were slammed doors and broken friendships and moments when the people she trusted turned against her in ways she never expected. 5 singers, 5 different stories. 5 old wounds that some people still haven't forgotten. And though Dolly has done everything in her power to keep it all hidden, to maintain that image of sweetness and kindness, the truth finally came to light. Once you know what really happened behind closed doors, you'll never see Dolly Parton the same way again. She came from almost nothing, a dirt poor girl in rural Tennessee, born on January 19, 1946, in a one-room cabin in Locust Ridge. Her father couldn't read or write, but Dolly always said he was the smartest man she ever knew. Her mother had 12 children before she turned 35, and she passed down something more valuable than money, a love for storytelling, for music, for faith. By age 10, Dolly was performing on local radio. The day after graduating high school in 1964, she packed a single bag and left for Nashville with nothing but her voice and a dream so big it terrified everyone who heard it. In 1967, her first country hit proved she wasn't just a pretty face. That same year, she joined the Porter Wagner Show, and everything changed overnight. Every week, millions tuned in to watch Dolly light up their screens. Their duets became instant classics. The chemistry between them was undeniable. By the early 70s, she was ready to stand on her own. In 1973, Jolene became an anthem. Then came I Will Always Love You, a ballad that would conquer the world. By the 1980s, Dolly was everywhere, in movies, on the radio, and merchandise. She starred in 9 to 5, proving she wasn't just a country singer. Then came Dollywood in 1986. While other celebrities were buying yachts, Dolly built an amusement park to give back to her hometown. Through her imagination library, she's donated millions of books to children around the world. But what happened to the woman who built all of this? Why does someone so generous, so talented, so beloved still carry scars from people she trusted? The first person on that list was the man who helped launch her career, Porter Wagner. What started as a powerful partnership became one of the most dramatic splits in country music history. When Dolly joined his show, the fans booed her. They sent angry letters. They didn't want change. But Porter stood by her, and Dolly proved herself night after night. Their partnership clicked almost immediately. More than a dozen top 10 hits. One of the most beloved duos in country music. On camera, they looked like the perfect team. But behind those smiles, the cracks were already showing. Porter didn't just want to sing with Dolly. He wanted to control her. He managed her appearances, chose which songs they recorded, made all the key business decisions. For a woman as independent and ambitious as Dolly, that cage was suffocating. She wasn't just a pretty voice. She was a songwriter, a visionary, a woman with dreams that reached far beyond duet albums. For years, she played along, but as her fame grew, so did her desire to stand on her own. By 1973, the tension was impossible to ignore. A year later, she left the Porter Wagner Show. To the public, it seemed friendly. But 5 years later, in 1979, Porter came back with lawyers. He sued Dolly for $3 million, claiming she'd broken their contract and owed him money. Dolly was blindsided. To her, Porter had been a mentor. The lawsuit felt like a deep betrayal. She quietly settled out of court, refusing to fight dirty. She just wanted to be free. Years later, by the late 1980s, they started to reconnect. In 2002, Dolly personally inducted Porter into the Country Music Hall of Fame. When Porter was hospitalized in 2007 with lung cancer, Dolly visited him. Just weeks later, he passed away. That chapter remains one of the most emotional and defining moments of her career. The next person on Dolly's list was Linda Ronstadt. Together with Emmylou Harris, Dolly and Linda were supposed to be the ultimate dream team. Three powerhouse women joining forces to create something legendary. The trio album, released in 1987, was an instant success. It went platinum, hit the top of the country charts, and won a Grammy. But in the studio, things were far from peaceful. Dolly liked to record songs in one or two takes, quick, spontaneous, trusting her instincts. Linda was a perfectionist who could spend hours fine-tuning every single note. Their creative styles just didn't mix. The tension was obvious to everyone around them. When Trio 2 came out in 1999, the magic was still there, but the friendship wasn't. Linda didn't hold back in interviews. She openly admitted that working with Dolly was frustrating. Dolly canceled plans, showed up late to recording sessions, seemed unreliable. According to Linda, Dolly didn't fully respect the effort it took to complete the project. She was more focused on her solo career. Linda made it clear she had no plans to work with Dolly again. She said that Dolly's lack of professionalism had ruined what was supposed to be a fun, creative experience. But as the years went by, time softened some of those hard feelings. Even so, there was always awkwardness between them. The trio legacy still stands as one of the most iconic collaborations in country music. But behind the beautiful harmonies, Linda's words lingered, leaving a shadow over what could have been a lasting sisterhood. Then there was Elvis, the king of rock and roll himself. Both legends in their own right, they nearly came together once. But what could have been a historic collaboration ended in tension over one unforgettable song, I Will Always Love You. Written in 1973, the song was deeply personal to Dolly. It was inspired by her decision to leave Porter Wagoner and step out on her own. When Elvis's team took notice, Dolly was thrilled. The king himself wanted to record her song. But then came the catch. Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's notorious manager, demanded 50% of the publishing rights. For Dolly, it wasn't just about money. It was about respect for her craft. So Dolly stood her ground. She told Colonel Tom Parker, "This is the most important copyright in my entire publishing company, and I can't do that." Dolly later admitted she was deeply hurt by the situation. She admired Elvis tremendously, but the deal felt unfair, like a trap designed to exploit her. Elvis was very disappointed. He genuinely loved the song and had been eager to record it. Though Dolly remained respectful, the fallout left a mark. She believed Elvis never fully forgave her for saying no. It broke her heart. In the end, Dolly's decision proved to be exactly right. Years later, Whitney Houston's version became one of the biggest songs in history, earning Dolly millions in royalties that she would never have seen if she'd given away that publishing right. Then came 2008. Howard Stern had built his career on saying and doing things most people wouldn't dare. In a disturbing radio segment, Stern's team took clips from Dolly's audiobook and edited them together to create a fake interview. They spliced her real voice into phrases that made it sound like she was saying vulgar, racist, and deeply inappropriate things. They mocked Kenny Rogers and Linda Ronstadt. They made crude jokes about her own body. The bit was meant to be funny. It was anything but. It was cruel, tasteless, completely out of line. Stern's crew laughed it off on air, but for Dolly and her fans, it was devastating. A deliberate attack on her reputation. Dolly, who almost never responds to controversy, was heartbroken and furious. She released a rare public statement saying, "I have never been so shocked, hurt, and humiliated in all my life. I cannot believe what Howard Stern has done to me." She called the segment vile, but Howard Stern didn't apologize. He laughed it off, claiming it was just satire. To him, it was a joke. To Dolly, it was deeply personal. After that incident in 2008, they went their separate ways. Dolly took the high road. She never lashed out publicly. She simply moved on. But then, in 2023, something totally unexpected happened. Dolly appeared on the Howard Stern Show for the very first time. 15 years had passed. To everyone's surprise, Stern was respectful. He praised her, called her a legend. But the tension between them was hard to ignore. It felt clear that Dolly was there for business, not forgiveness. Once again, Dolly showed the world what grace and professionalism look like. Then came Jeff Tweedy of Wilco. It's rare for anyone to criticize Dolly Parton openly. She's practically untouchable in the music world. But Tweedy didn't hold back. In an interview, he acknowledged Dolly's place in country music history, but then criticized her songwriting, calling it superficial. He claimed her lyrics lacked the emotional complexity found in deeper, more abstract songwriting. In one now infamous comment, Tweety said, "I love Dolly Parton. I know she wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You on the same day, and I think she should have stopped after Jolene." His words weren't meant to be cruel, but they came across as dismissive toward a woman whose songs have defined generations. Reports claim that Dolly heard about the comments and wasn't happy. For Dolly, songwriting has always been deeply personal. Her songs come from her life, her heart, her experiences. So to have another artist question, that must have hurt. But in true Dolly fashion, she didn't respond publicly. She didn't need to. After all, her songs continue to move millions around the world. From Coat of Many Colors to 9 to 5, her music has crossed generations and genres. Her influence as a songwriter is undeniable. Through every feud, criticism, and controversy, Dolly Parton has stayed the same. Humble, resilient, and full of grace. She's faced lawsuits and public insults. She's been betrayed by people she trusted and attacked by people she didn't. Yet she always emerges stronger. She always takes the high road. She always finds a way to transform pain into something meaningful. That's who Dolly Parton really is. Not the image, not the sparkle, not the perfectly crafted public persona, but the woman underneath, the one who remembers where she came from, who honors the people who helped her rise, who refuses to let bitterness poison her soul. That's the real story, and that's the Dolly the world should know.